Hi, welcome to the Sonic Boomers podcast. I'm Pete.
And I'm Maureen.
And we're the Boomers. And before we get into our show...
Actually, we're the Toriellos.
And we are the Sonic Boomers. And before we get into the show this week, I'm going to turn my earphones up so I can hear more. There we go. We have a few housekeeping things that we want to pass along to you. First of all, Maureen and I do not make a living out of doing this show on YouTube. And I know there's a lot of people out there who have been lucky enough to be able to earn a living doing videos on YouTube. That is not why we do this show. We do it just for the fun of doing it. But the way that you can show us that you are enjoying the show and that it is worth it for us to do it is by subscribing to the podcast on YouTube, because right now we have only 33 subscribers. And while we truly appreciate every subscriber that we have, in YouTube world, it's really, it's not good because we don't get good placement of the show. We don't get good distribution of the show. So when we get bigger numbers in subscribers and we get more likes, it really helps the show out. Doesn't put a dime more in our pockets, but it helps the show out and it makes us feel good. So please take the opportunity to subscribe to our podcast right now. And if you don't want to subscribe, at least give us a thumbs up, give us a like, because that also helps the show.
And we thank you for doing that.
Yeah. There are a few things that are on my mind that I wanted to
Oh boy, here we go.
along.
Here we go.
First of all, the price of stamps is going up again. 63 cents for the first class forever stamp.
Wow.
This is the third price increase in a year. For the post office.
Okay, I've lost track.
January 21st, by the way, is when it goes into effect.
Oh, we better buy some more forever stamps before that.
But the only thing that's really forever about the forever stamp is the price is forever going up. That's the only thing that is forever about those stamps.
That's true.
What were you going to say?
I was going to say, years ago, I was a stamp collector. Mm-hmm. And when I first started collecting stamps, it was a 4-cent Lincoln was the norm to send a letter. Now it's 63 cents.
Isn't that crazy? Also, Girl Scout cookies. This is big news.
Okay.
Girl Scout cookies have a new flavor, which will become available online only.
Okay.
The girls will not be selling this, at least not yet. I guess they're kind of test marketing it. Mm-hmm. It goes online on February 27th, which is kind of cool because that's my mom's birthday.
There you go.
Happy birthday, Rose. And it's called Raspberry Rally. They say it looks just like a Thin Mint.
Okay.
But it's raspberry inside.
It sounds promising.
I think that'll be tasty. The New York Auto Show, I know we have a lot of guys that listen to the podcast that like cars. And what is probably the best auto show, at least in America, the New York Auto Show, is returning to the Javits Convention Center in New York on April 7th through the 16th. So you may want to go check that out. And finally, if you're a fan of the Netflix TV show, Only Murders in the Building, Meryl Streep has signed on to join the cast in season 3.
Yep.
So those are just a few things that I wanted to pass along. And this is something that we're going to do in our future podcasts. In the first couple of minutes, I'll have just a few interesting tidbits to share with you.
Well, good for you, Petey boy.
Maureen was not in favor of doing this when we had the production meeting.
Can
and
you
I
tell?
said, well, damn it, I'm doing it anyway. So.
There's no reasoning with this man.
So what are we talking about on this show?
Well, we're in the new year, and it's a time of, trying to reassess what your finances are and trying to come up with a plan for doing things differently in the new year. And of course, with all the inflation that's taken place, and I think everybody's feeling the financial crunch.
Yeah, we just came out of Christmas and the holidays.
Right.
And so, yeah, I imagine people's budgets are a little
stretched right
bruised.
now. So, this show today is geared towards helping you maybe find a few things that you hadn't thought of to take the edge off. This is not going to make you a millionaire. This is not for people that are tens of thousands of dollars in debt. There's more knowledgeable people doing YouTube videos on those subjects, and I suggest that you look them up if that's your case. But these are some things that Pete and I have either stumbled across that we've done ourselves, or that we've just in researching found a few areas that you might want to try that could save you, a dollar here, a dollar there, and in the end, maybe a few $100s.
Yeah, it adds up
in the end. And like I said, it basically kind of take the sting off of some of the finances at this time of year.
Mm-hmm. And one of the things that we've done, and maybe you have done, coupons. Now that may seem obvious, but a lot of money gets left on the table by not taking the time to look for coupons. Now, we're not talking extreme couponers like you see on television, although that can save you some mad money. But days of clipping paper coupons may be in the rearview mirror and replaced by online coupons, including apps like Rakuten.
Right. So another way that you can save through an online app is there's an app called Fetch that we use, and it's free, and you scan your receipts onto this Fetch app, and it gives you credit points, which are then accumulated, and you can turn in for merchandise or discounts or gift cards, any variety of things. And they also offer like sometimes incentive points, like for purchasing a particular item, like where maybe ordinarily you'd get 5 points for. Well, if you get it this week, they're going to give you 100 points for it. So it's a way to rack up your point bank.
Because anytime I go shopping, I'll come home and Maureen will say, "You got any receipts for me?" And she scans them like with her phone right into the the Fetch.
30 seconds to do, and it saves you. It can save you quite a bit. And this is for any kind of a receipt.
I was just going to ask you that.
It's not just food receipts.
Any receipts at all.
Any receipts, gasoline, or Home Depot,
right.
Target, any receipt that you have.
Now, what do you think they're doing with that information?
That's the only thing. If you're super uptight about that. Maybe they're tracking a little bit of your spending. I'm not either.
I'm not really uptight about it. What are you going to learn that Pete went to the Home Depot and bought plywood? What,
Yeah, I mean,
what is there to be gained from that?
I mean, some people might be a little uneasy, and if so, then don't use it.
Pete went to the diner and got a Taylor ham, egg, and cheese sandwich and a coffee. Okay.
Every day this week.
Every day last week.
So, that's one drawback that maybe it might make you feel uneasy. But I don't have a problem with it. If you don't have a problem with it, it's a great way to accumulate some extra dough.
And while we're talking about receipts, look at the flip side of grocery and some other receipts, because they often contain coupons and offers for local merchants.
Right. I was just looking at the back. We just did a ShopRite order, and on the back there's some good ones this week. They have some McDonald's and I forget what the other one was, but they were both like something that we potentially use.
And another receipt tip is read them. One example is Dunkin' Donuts. If you take a minute to go to their website and answer a few questions about your experience, they'll send you vouchers for free coffee or donuts or other items.
Yeah.
And again, it's just a few minutes of your time.
And it doesn't cost you anything. And believe it or not, your opinions can be worth money. Yes, even yours.
Well, in that case, we're going to be making a lot of money because I have a lot of opinions.
And actually, there are sites. There are just a few. Like I mentioned, there's one called Swag Points, Swag Bucks, Life Points, Survey Junkie. There's many more. They'll pay you if you review products or if you answer a survey. Now, you're not going to make a lot, but they might give you $1, might give you $5. And if you do enough of them, it can add up.
Figure it's $1 or $2 you didn't have yesterday.
Exactly. And it doesn't cost you anything. Also, if you go to some large gathering areas, I know I used to get hit in the mall a lot when I would go to the mall.
Does anybody even go to malls anymore?
Oh, some people do.
Because I know, like nationwide,
yeah,
they've been closing left and right. because of the e-commerce.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I mean, they haven't closed yet, so some people are using them.
When was the last time you and I went to a mall?
I can't remember. It's got to be 5 years, maybe.
Yeah, at least.
At least.
And that was probably Livingston Mall. Was probably the last one because
Or
that was the
Short
one.
Hills.
Yeah, because those were we seldom ever went to Short
to go to
Hills.
see Marky.
Yeah,
Our
Yeah.
son works in
Yeah.
the mall.
yeah. We don't buy in the Short Hills Mall.
Can't afford it.
If you want to buy us something from the Short Hills Mall, we got you.
Gotcha.
But I think I would say the Livingston Mall might be the last place that we actually shopped.
Possibly.
Because we used to when the kids were little, we used to like to go and walk around with the stroller, and they'd fall asleep, and
It's all good.
yeah.
But anyway, getting to the mall thing, I know that they used to have a company that had actual offices in the mall, and they would have people out with clipboards, and they had certain demographics in mind. And
Oh,
they
I
would
did one of
approach you.
those.
I did a lot of them. And they would come up to you and say, would you like to answer a few questions or take part in a study that we're doing? It'll only take you 15 minutes and we'll pay you. And I did that quite a few times. And sometimes they paid pretty generously, like maybe $25, $50.
Mm-hmm.
And that was well worth it.
You can also volunteer, and you and I have done this. We did it a lot back in the day. You can volunteer to be a guinea pig for science.
That's what I would call it. It's not what they're going to call it, but
Yeah, you're a test subject.
Right.
And now this, in some cases, does have a slight risk about which you will be informed.
Right.
They'll say, this is the study. This is how the study will be conducted, and the risks involved are, and usually it's nothing, like liver failure or something like that.
It might be like a slight rash.
Could be a slight rash
irritation or
something like that. But they will tell you up front what the risks are, and then you can decide whether or not you want to do it. And sometimes they only need you for a few weeks. Sometimes it can go on for
it's usually not more than a few weeks, maybe 6
month
weeks
or
at the
two,
most.
yeah. And they pay pretty good.
They pay very good. Depending on how many times a week you have to come in and all like that. But what it involved was like they would put whatever the product is, generally the ones we took place in anyway, on like a Band-Aid type thing, and they would apply it to your back or to your arm or wherever they were testing. And they would have you come in like maybe every other day for a couple of weeks and note if there was any reaction to the products. And again, they weren't anything carcinogenic. It was things. I know the one time they were testing like a material that they were going to use on baby diapers, disposable diapers.
Yeah, and we
they wanted to
tested
see-
for a sunscreen. Remember, we had to go, and then they would put they had the sun lamp or something, or
Right,
the ultraviolet lamp
That was a little different.
that they
yeah.
would shine on your back for a few minutes, and then they would take the little Band-Aids off that had the product applied to it, and then they would see which one did, I guess, the better job or something.
Whatever, yeah. They would get their data, whatever.
As I recall, we never took anything internally.
No, never did.
Nothing to eat, nothing to drink.
But again, if you have super sensitive skin or you're highly allergic to things,
Yeah.
it
Might not be for
might
you.
be for you. But a lot of us aren't.
Yeah.
So
And it pays well.
I remember getting several $100s on those things for maybe 3-4 weeks, 6
Yeah.
weeks.
Yeah.
Really well worth it.
And when you're raising a young family,
Oh, I know.
an extra $300-400 a piece for you and your spouse, it's not a bad thing.
No, it certainly wasn't. So another thing was you could save money on hair services. Some of the schools that teach cosmetology they look for test subjects for their students to practice on. And you can go in possibly for free to get your hair done if you're doing it as part of their teaching class. I also know that I used to go to a salon that was operated by one of these cosmetology schools that was basically kind of, I guess, for their graduates in a way, where they like when they have to qualify for a beauty license, they have to put in a certain number of hours of doing hair before they can qualify, and they have to take a test also. So these are students that completed all the classwork, and now they just need to accrue hours. And they operated a salon, and it was every bit as nice as a high-end salon that you would go to, and you would pay a fraction of the cost. Like you could get your hair done with a dye job for under $20. You know, blow dry, haircuts, shampoos. They did all the services that you would get at a salon, but like I said, for a fraction of the cost. And there really was very little risk because the teachers were there, and the students could, if they got in over their head or were unsure, they could call the teacher over and the teacher would advise them. The downside is it might take a bit longer because these are kids just learning, or I shouldn't say kids, young adults that are just learning, and they might be a little more fastidious in taking their time because they want to do it right. So say a haircut that maybe you could go to a haircuts and get it done for a half hour or less, maybe there might take you an hour.
Yeah.
But you're paying...
Saved a lot of money.
You're saving a lot of money.
Well, I know that's one of the big expenses that people run into, especially raising a family, are medical expenses and dental expenses. And we just had a friend sharing with us that a while back he needed some dental work done, and it was going to be very, very expensive.
As any dental work is.
And he wound up going to, I guess, Newark, to the
School of Dentistry.
School of Dentistry, and you could have a student under supervision performing your dental work. And again, he said he paid like a small fraction of the price.
I don't know if this is still the case, but like when the kids were little, I did look into that, and at that time there was an income requirement, and unfortunately for us, we made too much to qualify for those discounted services.
Yeah,
and yet we made not enough to be able to pay real dental bills, so we were kind of in a quandary there. Pop. But so I don't know if that's still a case where there might be an income requirement. Yeah.
But it's something, again, that you might want to check out.
Sure. I mean, all of these things are, we're offering them as just merely suggestions. And, if you take advantage of even a few of them and save a few bucks, we've done a good thing.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of times we take out memberships and different things that have a myriad of perks associated with them. Like I'm thinking AAA. Now, we took that out because, we wanted to be able to deal with any breakdowns on the road, or if we needed an emergency tow, we felt it was worth the little bit of money that the membership costs. But it wasn't until much later that we started using their travel advisory service that it comes as part of your AAA membership. And as such, they can help you with getting cheaper rates at hotels or booking cruises through them. They might have extra bonuses they have in their fingertips because they do such a vast quantity of, referrals to these hotels and stuff, that they have things in their pockets that you would not have if you just went to them yourself. Things like room upgrades, extra, like on a cruise, extra onboard ship credit, things like that.
Also, you might want to think about putting aside your preconceived notions about thrift shopping, because anymore there's no stigma to it. As a matter of fact, it's kind of fun.
Yeah.
It's kind of fun. I mean, who doesn't enjoy bagging a bargain? And sometimes if you're like Maureen and I, and you like antique stuff or you like mid-50s modern stuff, sometimes you've got to go to a thrift store, and you can find that at a pretty good price. Now, if you go to a store that specializes in that kind of stuff, you're going to pay a lot more.
Of course.
But sometimes when you're thrifting, you can find stuff that is like really good stuff and cheap. I cannot tell you how much of my wardrobe, believe it or not, and I'm talking about the dress wardrobe that I used to use for work, was stuff that I thrifted. And I would come into the office and people would say, "Oh my God, is that really Armani?" And of course I would be, "Well, yes, it is. Yes, it is. It is genuine Armani."
And now the secret is
do
out.
you think Pete Torriello is going to wear anything else than a real Armani suit? But it was something that I thrifted. And so I paid a fraction of the price and yet had the look.
Yeah. So it's all good.
And now my secret is out.
And I know, like, when the kids were little, we would go, a fun thing we would do with my mom, we would go out garage sailing on a Saturday and hit one after another. And we'd give each kid like $1, maybe $2, and they could buy what they wanted. And at that time, kids' toys and games, 25 cents, 50 cents. And they would come home and they'd have their little bargains and they were so happy. And it was like, we couldn't go out and buy all this stuff for them, but they could have that experience. And I hope they have happy memories of it. And they would, get hours of entertainment for 50 cents.
And you might want to go back and check, because Maureen and I have a previous podcast and a previous YouTube video on thrifting.
Yes.
So make sure that you go back and you check that out.
And another thing that you might be interested in trying is generic brands. Now, we all have certain ones that are unnegotiable, non-negotiable, that we won't give up.
We also have a podcast on that, too,
Yes.
a previous issue
Yes, we
about
do.
Versus versus name brand. So
we'll
watch that
put the
one.
link in
Yeah.
for the people on YouTube anyway, that you can see it. Anyway, that, there are, like I said, there are certain brands that we're not going to compromise.
Mayonnaise, Hellman's, or nothing.
Right. Ketchup, Heinz, pretty
Yeah.
much. But there are other things that, like maybe cleaning products, maybe, soda or bread or rolls, things like that, that really don't have a whole lot of difference between the generic and the name brand.
As you all know, I'm the cleaning ninja.
Yes, you are.
And I've been making my own cleaning products. But I found if you go to the Dollar Tree, they have a whole back wall of cleaning products for $2. $1.50, $2. And they work. Like, there's one line of products that's called LA's Simply Awesome. And I use one of their products for doing our floors, and I do another one of their products for cleaning the counters. And it's a concentrate. You mix it with a little bit of water. You put it in a spray bottle. It's going to last you for months because it's a big bottle.
Yeah. So, I mean, like...
I don't even make my own stuff anymore.
Yeah.
It's cheaper just to go out and buy the big bottle
absolutely.
and add a little water and be done with it.
So, I mean, like, if you can, be flexible, you can save a lot on certain items that way.
Yeah, that stuff gets expensive if you're going for the name brands.
Especially the cleaning things.
Yeah, laundry detergent.
Yeah. Now, this is going to sound a little bit cheap, and don't judge me, but, at Christmas time, we did a lot of our gift wrapping. We used gift bags, and so did people gifting to us. And that has gotten to be kind of the norm, even for birthdays or other occasions, is using gift bags.
I'm going to go as far out as to say that gift bags is the new gift wrap.
It may be. So here's the thing. People put the gift in there, throw some tissue paper in, make it pretty. You take your thing out. It's not like gift wrap where you're ripping anything. These bags are in perfect as new condition after you've used them once. So I just fold them up and I save them and I reuse them. And, when you're buying them for the first time, they're like maybe $5 for a bag. If you can reuse them, that's $5 you're saving. And if you need a larger one, it could be even more. So, don't judge me. I reuse gift bags. And I try not to re-gift, give you back the same bag you gave to me. But if I ever have, I'm sorry. It may have happened.
Chances are they're not going to remember the gift bag, but they might remember the gift.
Yes, I would not re-gift.
Because you and I have been re-gifted. We have never re-gifted anyone, but we've had people regift us.
Yeah.
And don't think we didn't catch it.
Yeah, I know.
And if you're of a certain age, you can also take advantage of senior discounts. Now, of course, Maureen and I are too young to take advantage of this.
Not a very good liar.
But they are available at a variety of stores and restaurants.
Mm-hmm. And if you don't mind eating early or on off days, and again, it seems to be a senior thing, and I'm trying not to stereotypical about this, but we do kind of like to eat earlier than later.
Like the early bird special.
And they quite often have happy hours and early bird specials that you can opt to eat at the same restaurant that you would be a few hours later and pay maybe $5-10 more just because you're going at a more popular time.
And if you have the stamina to resist a strong sales pitch, and I have to warn you, some of these sales pitches are absolutely freaking relentless. Take the free offer and go. You can get sometimes free vacations, free baby photos, free products, but you've got to sit there for half an hour and have them try to sell you on a condominium or something.
Yeah.
And we did it on our honeymoon, wasn't it?
Yes, we did it on a couple of different things, but
we got a sightseeing cruise for free.
Right, they to Millionaires Row in Biscayne Bay in Florida.
Yeah, and they tried to sell us a timeshare.
A timeshare kind of a deal.
And we were like, listen, we're going to save you some time, okay? Like, we're not going to do this. We're not doing a timeshare. We're not interested. We heard your spiel. Give us our stuff. Mm-hmm. Give us our prize.
Right. And they tried to
haggled back and forth a little bit, but in the end, we wound up getting our little sightseeing cruise.
That was certainly worth it.
It was nice.
And when the kids were little, I got free baby fit pictures from a number of different vendors. As a matter of fact, the one company would come to your house and photograph the baby, and I think I had gotten like a certificate for a free picture once a year for the first 5 years or something.
I think that was Jones and Presnell or Presnell.
I don't know.
I seem to remember that name. There's a lot of companies that do it.
But at any rate, they would come and do this, and the first one or two times, I admit I did buy a few extra things to give to the grandparents. It's your first kid, you want the composite picture, but after you got that, how many of them are you going to use? Yeah. I just wanted the updated one once a year. So for some reason I ended up many times with the same sales guy, and he would come with his satchel with your proof, spread them out on the table, and give you the whole spiel. And I would listen to him very politely and then say, no, I just want, what can I have for free? I want this one for free.
Yeah.
And after a while, he kind of got to know me, and he came in and he's like, oh, okay.
You again.
So I was like, just, let me see the proofs. I'll pick out my free one and save you a lot of time. And he finally acquiesced and realized he wasn't going to get anywhere and it wasn't worth his time. He could move on to somebody else who maybe he could pitch. But again, like we said, they do really pressure you, and you have to be strong. But by law, if they say they're giving you something for free, they have to do it. So just be strong.
Finally,
Resist.
We found something that was really interesting, and we did this.
Yeah.
We did this because when I found this, I brought it to Maureen, and I said, I recall you and I used to do this when the kids were little and we were trying to pinch pennies. In the current issue of the AARP Bulletin, mm-hmm. And, if you're an AARP member, check out the bulletin when it comes to your house, because there really are some good things in there for you to read and learn. And I used to just toss it out every time it came in. And then I said, you know what? We're doing a show which is directed by and large toward the baby boomer generation. And a lot of our listeners are AARP members.
Yes.
Let me see if there's anything in the bulletin that's worth talking about. And sure enough, there are a lot of things in there that are very interesting. And in the current bulletin, there is an article. And the article is written by Lisa Lee Freeman. And it's called A New Way to Lower Your Grocery Costs. And she says, bypass picture-perfect foods to save big and reduce waste. And she's basically talking about something that is called a salvage food store. Now, that doesn't mean that you're picking food out of garbage or something.
No.
And salvaging. A salvage food store, it's the stuff that regular supermarkets pass on, items such as cosmetically flawed produce, dented cans, crumpled boxes, products that are nearing their expiration dates. And she says not all of these rejects end up in a landfill. Some turn up on supermarket clearance racks and at salvage grocery stores. She mentions one company, Grocery Outlet, operating 420 stores. Most of these are in the western United States. There's United Grocery Outlet, and apparently several of these. She says that you can really save a lot of money. It's kind of like a scratch and dent store for groceries.
Right. And, you don't have to be concerned. We used to say, like, if the canned good was dented too badly, it was dangerous. These are things that have maybe a tear in the label, a little bit of a nick, a little scratch. It's not like dangerous.
Yeah, in fact, Lisa in the article says, don't worry about smashed boxes. As long as the inner bag is sealed, minor dings at a can are okay too, but dents that are deep or along the seam of a can signal a problem.
Right. So you wouldn't get those.
But listen to this. In one of these salvage food stores, a big box of cereal, $1.98.
Yeah.
Typically $5 or more in the supermarket. That's a big savings.
That is. And if you have things like Tupperware or some of the Rubbermaid items, and maybe there's some other generic plastic storage containers, they make a cereal holder that you could dump, like say if the box is rat or the inner seal is a little bit, once you open it up, now what are you going to do with it? Put it in one of these plastic storage containers and you're good to go.
And if you would like to learn more about food salvage and find a food salvage location near you, there is a website called buysalvagefood.com. That's buysalvagefood.com, and it will point you to the salvage food store near you. So we hope that our show this week saves you a few bucks, like we said at the onset.
Yeah. So hopefully you do.
So join us again soon for another edition of the Sonic Boomers podcast. I'm Pete.
And I'm Maureen.
Goodbye.
Bye.